All right, folks, we're back. Boy, howdy. We are getting into TLO versus Bunny. And whenever they're ready to go. Oh, no. I can't handle it either.
Oh my god.
So we just played Hot Potato with Lobby Host until Zombie Room got it. Bunny came host to TLO. TLO said he can't handle the responsibility. Tossed it to me, and I quickly got rid of that hot mess and gave it to Zombie Grub.
Well, I'm the only one who's responsible. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, well, let's be honest. TLO, me and kind of like kids, and then, I don't know, Bunny's like... He tried to be responsible at the end. He's like, just give it back. Anyways, we're in the round of 8 for this week's Corsair Cup. Big thank you to Corsair for being the fantastic sponsors that they are, making this cup possible every single week, but also for the great gear that they produce, specifically their headsets, guys. The Corsair Wireless Void goes without saying, my favorite headset. I don't need to be paid to say that. They don't even need to sponsor us for me to say that. Maybe that's me giving bargaining power away. I don't care. I love this headset. I would love for you guys to check it out too. But that being said, they've got other great things: RAM, casings, power supplies, etc. We're going to get in the game, though. And in the top side of this map, we've got the blue Zerg from, if you can believe it, Team Liquid. It's TLO.
And in the bottom position, oh my god, he's from Team Liquid. It's Bunny.
I feel like this one actually deserves some oh my god to it, though, because Bunny is playing today. While we're in the lobby waiting for TLO to come back from his AFK, I kind of made a joke about how Bunny comes and he plays about once every 2 to 3 months, and he actually wins the tournament that he plays in, and then he disappears for another 2 to 3 months. Now, I do want to stress, I think a bigger portion of this has to do with tournaments not being too favorable timing-wise for him, because he's putting a lot of emphasis on schoolwork, and he can't be up at like 3 a.m. in the morning like he once was able to in the past. But the emphasis still goes. Like, he won the last Corsair Cup he showed up for. He's a pretty fantastic player all around, but I have seen nothing of him on this new patch, and I'm really curious how he's adapted.
Yeah. Newest patch and new big patch. Both. I don't know. Well, I he kind of summed it up. I don't know how much he's really been practicing. I mean, it could be like amazing, or could actually just be doing everything as he was doing even 6 months ago. I mean, good macro, good micro is going to get you through a lot, even if your builds are a little stale, unless there are seriously such like a significant change that like Mech is the thing to do, for instance, which everyone was kind of scared of with the new patch, but obviously didn't actually come to be true. So if Bunny just does a 2-1-1, which he's not doing, but say he does like the next game, totally fine, right? We still are seeing all of that almost every single game.
I would actually love, by the way, if Bunny just did a complete 360 from what we're used to, or 180, excuse me, and he just goes like straight up mech. Not even mech, but like mech into battlecruisers, like Nathania styles. Which, by the way, did you catch any of his stream at all yesterday?
No.
Nate had some particularly good battlecruiser games in chat, or on his stream, and I'm just
In
sitting
chat?
there.
Oh, God.
Well, no, so I'm in chat, and I'm like, I'm being the hype man to this, right? Like, because I guess some of his viewers still don't know battlecruisers are good now, and I'm like sitting there explaining, like, no, you guys don't understand, right? Like, they don't have energy anymore. It's so good. Like, and this guy's trying to be like, well, BaseTradeTV, don't you know Tempest are a hard counter? I'm like, bro, they were a hard counter, but now they have no cooldowns, and when you had to pick Yamato or Teleport before, now you can do both. Like, I'm so hyping this up, and Nate's winning these games, and I feel like I'm the only one in chat who likes battlecruiser.
It's like when I'm trying to convince people that you're actually going to win a battlecruiser game. It's like, guys, no, just believe me. I'm not as passionate. I'm just more like fed up. I'm just like, no, really. I know, like, it's super dumb. No, I know. You're like, but, you know, it works.
Yeah, guys, look, I get it. Like, 9 times out of 10, Ripken's an idiot. But trust me, it's like the one time he knows what he's talking about.
So cruel. So cruel. You paint me like that.
By the way, thank you to B.A. Svan Kenken. I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. He says, I never donate, but here's my free appreciation. And we appreciate that, friend. Thank you for watching the channel. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the show.
So this is interesting. Bunny went for 2 Cyclones as his opener, followed by Hellions and Banshee.
Oh.
If it wasn't for the Cyclones, I'd say he's still going to transition out into Bio, but I do wonder.
No, you know what is actually funny about this, though? Bunny, if you remember, was one of these guys who would make too many Cyclones. Like, we would always say, oh, one's a safe defense against everything. Bunny would go 2. Now Cyclones pack quite the punch, and that hatchery gets so freaking low. TLO's going to get on top of this with the Lings, but the Lings will also be pummeled to death. The Cyclones have a little bit more health now, 180, opposed to like the 120 last time Bunny was playing on stream, so he's making a good use of the new units. Not devastating damage. It actually ended up costing him more than it cost TLO, but damn if that wasn't crazy watching how fast that hatchery went down. The Hornet Blasters are real.
Yeah, I mean, that was scary. You know, I think it would... Because if Zerg is a little bit greedier and maybe they just do not make anything to respond to what would be usually Hellions coming out of that factory.
He's gonna do it!
They just depend on the Queens, and those Cyclones might have been able to straight up kill the hatchery. But yep, it is going to be Mech.
Okay, so while this goes on, there's some Lings, but it's not a problem. There's 4 Hellions are going to be kiting this around. The Banshee has limited use on the other side of the field, but, oh man, I can't wait to tell you guys about Mech and Mech and some more Mech. Oh no. Gets the cancel at least. Not great that he has to cancel, but better than losing the command center. Very expensive thing to go down. Banshee will slowly slip away thanks to Cloak. Cleans up the Lings. But Mech has had a lot of dynamics changed for this matchup. And more specifically in the most recent patch, one really big one, and that's the Viper having its Blinding Cloud duration reduced. Pretty significantly too. In the past, you would have tanks that would... And tanks do, I want to make this very clear to everybody, tanks destroy everything on the ground right now. Like, it doesn't matter whether you're Lings, Ultras, Hydralisks, or Roaches, tanks are going to blow you the hell away. But that might not be the Mech style Bunny goes for, more on that in a moment. But the point of this still is that Blinding Clouds were the best way to deal with tanks, but they were too good. So Blizzard toned them down a bit, and we haven't really gotten to see a really great Mech game where Blinding Clouds have been a factor now.
Right, we actually don't see that many Mech games, so this is kind of the first in a while, and yeah, it's timing out with that new tiny little patch, but TLO is doing a fantastic job of using his Lings, despite someone opening up with Hellions, which are usually very good at responding to and taking care of them. Ooh. He's even taking Failing to the Hellions' faces, and it's not a problem so far for TLO to defend. Now, he does have to defend, so he's not like skyrocketing in supply right now, but he's doing a good job. And Bunny is, he's finally good up at third base, by the way. I think he should just, done it first place, but it's in the main now.
So this is really weird. Bunny opens with Thors, which I think are a fantastic choice if he's really scared of mutas. But that Spire coming down where it is, he's seen that it's only just started. Like, the Banshee's fully aware. But 2 Thors out are better than Liberators nowadays, and they'll get the job done. They can take a lot of hits, they can deal a good chunk of damage. They're just not good against lots and lots of Lings, which is unfortunately what a lot of TLO's doing. So I'm questioning Bunny's choice. Normally I wouldn't question the composition here, but this is really weird.
Usually Bane busting at someone who's gone Hellions is just not suggested. Even if it's only like 6 Hellions, as long as they're alive, but especially against someone who's continuously making Hellions, it's almost never a good idea.
So here's where this gets questionable though, right? Like, okay, you could send 6 Baneleys to take down the depots, but the Thors can kind of fill in that position of a temporary depot.
Yeah. I mean, TLO I think is just being a little... I don't want to say cheeky, but like I think he is, he's almost so many Hellions so far, so nicely. I think he's anticipating being able to do so again, get another surround, kill them with the Banelings, and then flood the SCVs of the third base and continue stalling it out. But yeah, with the Thors, I don't think it's so much of an option.
So the reason I like the Thors too, this was a bit of the patch that went unappreciated. But their splash radius to air when they're in their splash mode is actually a little bit bigger now by one grid bit. Like it's not a lot, but it's enough of a difference where you can actually see mutas getting hit as they fly by instead of only 1 or 2 mutas being touched. The Thor does get surrounded, but the Hellion should be able to wash this off pretty easily. He's got to keep that Thor alive though. Oh man, he's got so low with those extra Baneleys coming in, but everything lives to see another day.
Ooh, that was pretty close, but that was also a questionable choice by TLO. He didn't really have that many Banelings to guarantee the SCV kills, and there certainly wasn't enough Lings to guarantee killing in the army.
Here's a problem with the Thors: slow, clunky, and not maneuverable. Chasing down the mutas is going to be kind of tough. TLO knew there was already Thors out though, so he's kind of pre-split the mutas. Lots of damage getting dealt. One of the tanks goes down. The co-op part of me is like, wait, why can't he rebuild that? All right, it's not co-op.
So, again, like really,
whoa,
trying to drive this home. So first of all, this is some nice damage to the Hellions, finally, after so many failed attempts. But to drive this home, like TLO is having to make these units. He did a good job with them, but he still had to make them. And even though you cancel the third base twice, it's usually really fantastic. He never got that, okay, I'm at 70 drones, so at 10 minutes I'm just gonna like super max out. They're actually keeping out a pretty stable supply. And TLO only just recently got up to those 70 drones.
So
Bunny actually has a time where he's like not going to get overwhelmed, which is usually the first thing you think of when you're worried about playing Mech.
I like the idea of the extra turrets coming down. The Thor's actually doing a great job pummeling away at the mutas. As we can see, just barely not able to get those last hits off, but the turrets coming into play. One of them goes down, very nice to see. Hellions dart across the map. The mutas will go back home and take care of that pretty easily. But as there's roaches and ravagers coming out, and again, hive tech on the way for what is possibly vipers, ultras, or even broodlords, Bunny's going to have to get those tanks up. But he'd already lost several early on to the mutas, so he doesn't quite have those numbers. As he moves towards the 4th, okay, it might be a planetary, but the tank line is actually a little bit weak.
It is, but I just don't think TLO does not have enough of an army to really scare for like the overwhelming aspect of it, like the Zergy aspect of it.
I don't think TLO was ever going for that, though. He was going for units he could harass and defend with while advancing his tech the furthest he could. I think he knew pretty quickly, like, oh, if this is a mech game, I'm going to have a lot of time to play with.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely, like, you know, multiple ways to play against Mech, and, you know, the one way that we see some other Zergs do it, which actually this is nice muted harassment, is just they expect not to be touched, you know, just Hellion harassment. They get the 70 drones, they, like, get a hive for, like, 7 minutes, something insane like that, and they either super win with tech or they super max out. You know, TLO didn't really do either. He is getting max out, he is getting to tech at a reasonable pace, but Bunny is still, like, not super far behind as you would think for losing 2 command centers. Well, not losing, but canceling 2 command centers and having his Hellions for the most part not do very much. I still think he's going to be in a difficult position, of course, you know, being down 40 army supply and having to deal with 2 types of tech, you know, potentially air and ground. It's going to be difficult, but especially since he's expanding so quickly too. Like, this is some pretty aggressive mech expanding.
It really is. I saw the double command center. I thought he was just going to maybe make some orbitals or just float them in the middle, but he's actually, yeah, super aggressively moving up with his planetaries. And some of the logic here sits pretty tightly where this base is going to be a lot harder for Bunny to take at the 20-minute mark than it is at the 11 mark. Because by then, TLO's going to creep all over the map and army units and sieging units like brood lords and you name it. So the faster he gets minerals and gas mined out of this base, the sooner he can kind of abandon it is a weird way to look at it. We got +3 weapons on the way here for Bunny's mech, all on the ground, of course, not a lot invested in the air. Vipers, though, finally coming out. This is where we're going to get to see that equation. I think Blinding Cloud is really great for a lot of reasons, but players like TLO have gotten a lot of really good use out of not just the parasitic bomb, but the abducts more than anything else. I think the logic here might be, like, let the brood lords take care of the tanks and let the Vipers take care of the things that'll protect the tanks.
Yeah. And Bunny already has a decent Viking count, so, you know, pretty key to dealing with Vipers has always been to...
Oh, did he just fly through his own corrosive biles? Is that what killed all the mutas just now?
No, I thought the Vikings did.
Oh, I looked like a lot of splash damage went down. Maybe I'm mistaken. I wasn't sure if it was the Thors or the corosive biles. Either way, all the mutas get wrecked.
Yeah, yeah. But what was I saying? Oh, that you at least kill the Vipers. Like, even if they get the Blinding Clouds or the Abducts, the point is, like, at least you force them to remake the Vipers and trade. Whereas you don't have any Vikings at all and you just take the Blinding Cloud, that's, you know, twice as terrible, basically. It's, like, so good. So the Vikings, ideally, are going to get snipes on the Vipers before anything goes down, but... Again, at the very least, you're going to be able to kill them and force TLO to remake. Because TLO, again, not having gone for, like, super greed here, is not banking a ton of money. If he takes a bad engagement, he could be at risk of being countered, depending on how good of an engagement Bunny takes. That'd be pretty good, but it could happen.
I love the attempt at blue flame run-bys, too, while this goes on. A lot of you guys who have never played the really long mech games, and I'm talking, like, you're going on 30 minutes plus, it's not about the army that wins the game, it's about these blue flame Hellion run-bys. Right now, TLO's sitting on 70 drones, and it's not hard for him to lose a couple. But later on, you start losing out on that economy, and you stop realizing, like, oh, I kept forgetting to replace the drones that I kept losing here. I just transferred those ones over because the main mined out, like TLO just did. Like, those blue flame Hellions aren't getting a lot done now, but they do over time, and it's very important to note that, you know, already racking up quite a few kills.
This
base
is a very...
Uh-oh.
It's a scary army. Like, Bunny is only down 10 army supply here, and he's had decent upgrades. Yeah, he does pre-split his tanks, though, pretty damn well, so Abducts might be better off. Doesn't quite get that Viper. Doesn't quite get the tank, though, either. What?
Well, let's talk about the way the Viper abilities are going to interact here. A lot of people say Parasitic Bomb, and they scream like bloody murder, but it's worth noting every Terran unit can take 1 Parasitic Bomb as long as they don't take any additional damage. It doesn't splash, it doesn't complement itself, so you're limited on what you can do with the parasitic bombs. I think TLO is going to be very wary to use those. So again, things like Abducts and Blinding Cloud's going to be way more important. Blinding Cloud's duration, does it stay on a tooltip now? 6 seconds. Oh my god, that's like nothing compared to what it used to be. It was like 10 or
It used to
something
be 10.
before? Yeah. So the planetaries aren't quite holding on the way Bunny wanted them to, but without investing in building armor, I don't think he expected them to do that much anyways. But he's trading this out. He's not really returning home to defend and stop the attacks. He's pushing, and this might be a mistake. He's losing out the Vikings and the Banshees to these Spore Crawlers. The Broodlords finally come into effect. I guess it's worth noting as well, for those who don't know, Thors have a really awesome single target mode that can destroy Broodlords.
Yeah, I was a little worried seeing those Vikings go all over the Spore Crawlers. Don't they get Parasitic Bomb, too?
The Vipers get some really nice Blinding Clouds before going down. Saves a lot of their asses, even. And Bunny's in retreat mode.
Well, you know, look at the supplies. Look at the bank. They both don't have that much of a bank. They both ended up at pretty even supply. TLO lost a lot of drones from having pulled them away, and also the Blue Flame handling attacks. And Bunny, he does have an extra command center. Well, technically he has more than one extra command center because he has his main and his natural. I'm not really sure who recovers better off of this. Usually it's going to be the Zerg, you know, with Mech being so expensive. But it is possible that Bunny gets like a solid defense again, and he looks like he has it. He's a lot of tanks, and he does take his expansions again too.
I think that trade actually goes really interesting for a couple of different reasons. But Bunny, for me, I think has the better recovery potential, not just because of like economy things, but you repair these units up pretty quickly. TLO's not exactly banking a bunch of queens to transfuse all these weak hydras or roaches or whatever gets made.
It is quite worrying because usually, even if they trade it with army, the whole thing about Zerg is that you have 70 drones and 5 bases and a bit of a bank, which he doesn't have any of those. So that's where I'm actually wondering, like, yeah, especially if Bunny can get his 4th base up and running and maybe, you know, a quote-unquote 5th with another orbital, he'll actually have the better army given a few minutes here.
It's interesting to see the composition out of Bunny still focus heavily around Thors. I really don't think they're the way to go. They've got some good potential in them, but I don't know. Even if you single target them to take down the Broodlords, they're very expensive. And unlike battle cruisers, who are equally expensive, even more so, they don't have the same duration. Like, they're not going to live forever.
Well, Bunny does get that main orbital over to the left side, so he's got 2 bases mining again.
So, also in the Thor's arsenal, for those who don't know, when you single target, you get a lot of bonus damage versus armored. 65 a shot. Okay, that's cool. You also get 10 range, which I think matches the Broodlord, right? Yeah, 10 range for 10 range.
They kind of derp out easily, though, which is like the unattended
that could suck.
dynamic. Yeah, exactly. If the Vipers could snipe the... well, both, I guess. If Vipers could snipe Vikings and vice versa, that'd be great for their respective owners here. But not happening on either side. Almost gets a couple of Vikings. So that would have been, again, pretty nice.
This is what part of fueled the Rifkin passion hate for the Viper. Its range on its abilities are actually kind of ridiculous. Nothing Terran has can really deal with that very easily. But that being said, as we just saw, like, again, Parasitic Bomb is not a guaranteed kill on Vikings, full to dead. Gets them very low, very scary, but...
This is a serious problem. Bunny was gonna scout that gold base when he decided to not take his planetary there.
Oh, yeah.
He has no idea it's around. Like, he should easily have a couple Hellions over there killing it.
Yeah, TLO is basically stealing Bunny's potential money at this rate. And that's something we see too often, but, I mean, if this comes down to a mined-out map situation, TLO is going to have stolen a lot of Bunny's money.
Yeah.
A lot of Bunny's money, honey. Isn't that funny?
This is a little complicated, of course, not a planetary. Taking out the tanks was a decent little tactic for TLO. TLO also has managed to get quite a lot of bank, so he still kept his important spellcasting units, so I would say that die.
Great pick off on some of these Vipers, by the way, as they start getting a little bit low. Kind of keep forgetting Vipers are classified as armored, so they take the mega damage from the Thor, and that might be why Bunny's been putting so much Thor emphasis in this game. I mean, all things considered, Thors will do more damage to Vipers than Vikings will, just due to the range more than anything else.
I think he's really going to be upset. Like, even if he wins this game, that he didn't do anything about the gold base. Because, like, that is so far away from TLO's creep and his defensive position that a couple of tank run-bys would probably be able to just straight up kill it.
Maybe.
And, of course, Blue Flame Hellions would be able to kill the drones.
I'm, of course, a little bit sad that we've had a bit of a let-up on the Blue Flame Hellion run-bys, too, which I think would be particularly efficient when you know that your opponent's late in the game. They've got Broodlords and Vipers and things that they can't really afford to split off to deal with your Hellions. So as one pokes in over here, it's not much, but again, 3 or 4 running around the edges of the map will become devastating. He'll find out about the base now. That's awkward.
Okay, yeah. You can't really push with your entire army over there, because then he just leaves two very other like important bases of his own just wide open. So like kind of surprised he's pushing to the right side. I think this is a mistake, which TLO is taking advantage of.
Yeah, TLO pushed on the left side. It's not a planetary, and I think that's part of the problem for Bunny. There's a bit of complacency because you expect that to be a planetary, right? You're not having moved your orbitals from your mains over, but
the scan on the infestors is pretty big there because, of course, up until now, TLO has not shown infestors, and he would have been all types of clumped up.
Yeah. Fungal growths are still going to wreck a good chunk of this army. Parasitic bomb and fungal would kill all the Vikings in one go.
Bunny does have a bigger army by a little bit. Yeah, he does expect those. With the Vipers. Not coming in quite yet. The split is pretty good on the Vikings, I would say.
He's focusing down the Broodlords. He knows he's going to lose these, so he's going to try and do as much damage with them as possible. He takes out a majority of the Broodlords. A lot of the Corruptors even go down, but here comes the Thors. They're like the cavalry riding in from below.
Yeah.
The Vikings still live, and he crushes TLO's army. GG gets called, and Bunny takes it with Thors.
20-minute Mech ZvT on fucking VNI. 2015 all over again.
I love it. Well, there's no Storm host, though.
Should play Storm host TLO.
Game 1 in a best of 3 in the round of 8 means a couple more games to come. Stick around, folks, and we'll see more of these two players in just a moment. Oh, why is this not swapping? Okay, hey, we're back, guys, and we're waiting on, I believe, TLO at the moment. So just giving him a moment, I guess, in the lobby here. Who has hosts? Oh, I have hosts. Oh no.
Why do they do that?
I don't know, but you got host now. I can't handle it.
So many games. Still no respect.
Oh, I love this. Who's this in chat? You get some special shots. Alaska Winter 923 says, BaseTradeTV, I guess you could say Bunny found TLO's Thor spot.
Oh, I don't think I've heard that one before. Oh, in like a couple of years at least.
Alright, what's this? Quetzalcoatl says, hey Rifkin, quick question for you. Is there any way for me to reduce the quality of ads? I have to watch y'all stream on a crappy Wi-Fi, so can't I play and stream on low quality? And the ads never load and just lag out the stream. So I have to cancel them. If that's not support y'all's, if I could, is there any way to fix that? So here's the thing, actually, Quetzalcoatl. Again, sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. This is actually an issue that was brought up at TwitchCon in like a closed conference meeting, which I think was public, but it was closed doors, or I don't remember how it works. But the point is, ads are a big issue for a lot of people. The broadcasters, the streamers, we don't have any control over ads whatsoever. We have like literally zero ability to influence anything other than when they play on the channel. But a lot of those concerns alongside volume and other things were brought up at TwitchCon. They announced their plans, that they're trying to work on these things, that there's priorities for this versus that. Like, I can say, as a very cynical person who's quick to bitch about all things, I'm very confident Twitch is working hard to make this a better experience. So no, unfortunately, there's nothing you can do, nothing we can do, but they are trying to make it better for everybody going forward in the future. So do what you got to do if it means watching the stream. Don't feel too bad about it, but yeah, unfortunately, there's nothing we can do on our end. Thanks for bringing up the topic, though. Getting into game number 2. This is a prime map, actually, to have another long game on. It was TLO's selection, spawning here in the bottom left. The Blue Zerg man himself, TLO.
In the bottom right is the Red Terran. He is Liquid Bunny.
So it's really cool seeing Bunny win that game. It was more cool for me personally seeing him do it with Mech, but it's even cooler when I look at the brackets and realize if he wins this series, he might fight Snoot in the semifinals. And we will have had like a tic-tac-toe 3 in a row Team Liquid matchup.
Is it really tic-tac-toe? I mean, I know tic-tac-toe is 3 in a row, but there's like so many other variables in tic-tac-toe.
No, but look at the bracket specifically, right? It's lined up that you'd have 3 in a row diagonally.
Oh, you weren't kidding. Okay.
It was literally because it's literally like you throw Manas in the upper left spot. This is in the center spot, and Snoot and possibly the winner of this would be in the bottom right.
I get ya. Okay then, all right.
Of course, if you're from Korea, like Zombie Grub is, I understand why you don't know the rules of tic-tac-toe, because apparently they don't. And that's not racist, that's just apparently a fact.
I feel like when you say something... You didn't have to say that.
I know I didn't have to say that.
Just made it.
I'm fully aware.
When you say things that just aren't racist, but then you say this isn't racist, it just makes things suspiciously racist.
You know, it's kind of like when I said like not to be a dick, but then everyone said what I said was a very dickish thing to say. So I connect those dots.
It's almost like that. Like no one starts off with no offense, without offending someone.
Look, no offense, but I love rainbows. Why would that be offensive? I don't understand. Are you insinuating something?
Oh yeah, then you would think about it pretty hard, wouldn't you? Well, this is interesting that the gas is being attacked right here, but more interesting is the fact that the Lings came over, but unfortunately unable to deny the command center from completing. So everything's Gucci, and the Cyclone's coming out that'll totally take care of the Lings. They do get in here and scout. What they scout is exactly what happened last game. Now, TLO, he might, like, have predicted this, anticipated it, and just, like, figured out a much better way to deal with Bunny than last game.
Okay, hang on.
I don't know
Why
what
is Bunny... Like, this is where he could be literally harassing anything else. If you were screwing out with denying a third, I get this, but... TLO said, okay, you're wasting all this time, I'd take this third. Like, this has cost TLO, like, what,
I guess...
24 minerals total?
Well, when he... Oh, okay.
Then he finished
it cost him the drone.
Okay, now this is actually a lot. I don't know. I don't know what this is about. This worked out better for Bunny, unfortunately.
Yeah. I was thinking like maybe Bunny just assumed he wouldn't be able to get anything with his Reaper, because you usually aren't supposed to, but if you waited, he guarantees get a drone.
Yeah, I don't know. That was weird. By the way, someone in chat is asking about the headsets, specifically the Corsair headsets we're using, why we aren't using their microphones to cast. The long answer is, well, I'll give you the short answer because I want to talk about the game. The professional mics are better. But anyways, the attack commences, and the Cyclones can actually tear a hole through those roaches as long as they're not the ones taking the hit. So it's a little bit worrisome for TLO.
I'm really not sure why, because wouldn't the roaches have a more difficult time against the Cyclones? Well, I guess their range is, what, the same now? No, they changed it.
Yeah, Cyclones are better. 6.
Yeah, so this goes back to being kind of like a... Well, it's letting the Cyclones be, like, migrating and killing roaches right now. Whereas the Lings took care of this... Well, they were late, but they did take care of it easily when they did come. I guess he was thinking about the Burrow, which is kind of cool. But the Cyclones would attack so fast, he messed up once.
I never realized he had done it. I didn't realize he got Burrow while this was going on, by the way. It's, yeah, definitely cool to see. Burrow roaches with movement speed are actually a great way to get rid of tanks. But as we saw in that last game, tanks weren't really the issue. Also, whatever for that sweet micro. Banshee comes in. There's really not a lot to push this back, but the Queen gets some nice shots while everything else is shooting the roaches, Banshee included. TLO continuing to burrow his roaches, doesn't really lose any through this. Only 2 have died so far.
Yeah, that did end up being pretty cool. Again, like, it was a little bit questionable watching the Cyclones potentially migrate against the roaches, but the Burrow made them look much better. So it's still a question of, like, what is TLO really planning to change up from last game? You know, those Lings, they looked amazing, but I kept on mentioning how, like, you still had to use them and remake them to defend, and maybe that was not worth it in the long run, whereas the roaches are a little more stable. Once you have a certain number of roaches, it's usually okay against this early, mech harassment. But maybe he underestimated the power of Cyclones.
Oh, ring around the
rosy. All his
roaches.
Uh-oh.
Pocket full of posy, and we all fall down.
So this isn't going to be a push to win or anything from Bunny just because he killed a bunch of roaches, but my point was that the roaches usually live and you don't have to remake them. You can just kind of focus on droning, and he just lost them, so he had to remake them. So, point not really there. These are like very small trades and they're not snowballing, but it is important to note that TLO is not getting that like, oh my god, the supply is so high, oh my god, he's like totally out-macroing Bunny. In fact, Bunny is doing a really nice job. I wish we had the graphs, because I think he would actually be winning. He took that third so smoothly, so easily. He transferred all his workers there, too.
Oh, gosh.
He's going to kill so many drones.
Well,
oh my god.
He had racked up 7 kills with dedication for the Banshees leading into this. Now it's up to 18, almost a 19. There we go, 19, 20 even. Oh, my god. TLO sitting like 20 workers behind, or 12 workers behind, a lot of deaths. We got Thor's coming out. But TLO is kind of like streamlining his production a bit. He's going faster to infestors. He's got tunneling claws ready to go. He doesn't have the greatest economy to support this like every Zerg player would want, but unlike the previous game, he's got an army much faster and a much higher tech.
It's like questionable. Like, his army, I guess, yeah, it is technically bigger, because he really didn't have very much of an army until like 9 or 10 minutes, but it's still not that impressive. It's still not the army you would want to overwhelm a mech player if that's what you wanted to do. Like, I really don't think he anticipated losing the drones, first of all, or the roaches, which in turn kind of, loses drones as you're building something else from the larva. like this whole timing like could have been sick if he was 30, 40 army supply up, you know, surrounding the tanks, surrounding the Thors, getting the fungals. But if he's only 10 supply up, or even worse, like not any army supply up, then Bunny should have no problem, even if he is surprised by the burrow. I do like TLO double expanding. I think whatever sick attack maybe he had in mind, I think he's realized it's not really going to work out, and it's time to get the economy ball rolling.
Well, if he can get away with it, especially on this faster hive, so much more power to him. I was really hoping to see something quite strange come out, like... Oh, that's going to be a nice catch. I was hoping to see something stranger come out of this, like, for example, neural parasites, take over those Thors, all that good stuff, but it looks like TLO is just gearing towards something not too dissimilar from what he did in that last game, and last game didn't work out for him.
Yeah, like a tiny bit faster, but not too much. And just like it's looking at Bunny supply and realizing that TLO is never at this point. The fungals are surprisingly effective. I thought since Bunny saw them the first time, he wouldn't lose anymore, but apparently he is. But yeah, the point is like Bunny's just keeping up with this, which I think was kind of a problem last game.
So, by the way, I gotta say, I think that's actually worth it for Bunny to have 5 infestors worth of energy used on them.
Yeah, if he's gonna attack, then for sure.
Because now there's only like 2 fungals.
Yeah.
He's got to scan though. He's got to be able to see these roaches that are burrowed under the ground. It's a pretty big deal.
I think he knows they're there, but he wants to wait for like a really good scan. Oh, okay, that was not a good scan at all.
No, I'll say it is because it completely forced TLO back, giving it more ground.
Okay.
It's a slow push. We do have a small attack here on the right side. There's a couple of roaches picking up building SCVs, but the planetary's there. He's not too worried for it. Tanks will, they'll shut him down. Coming from the backside, he wanted to surround this army, but TLO's actually going to get a pretty good engagement on the front. The question is, can he deal with the back? More tanks coming in, more tanks sieging up. Those Thors trying to hold on, but Bunny... It looks like he's actually going to push this back. I didn't think this would go that way. It was looking so good for TLO.
Yeah, it looks okay. He does get a better supply as he not quite remaxes, but starts making more army units. And Bunny is, I think, a little careful now, a little, scared. That was probably one of the better engagements TLO could have taken. He had that kind of full surround going on, and there was the fungals going down. Like, that was pretty good. Bunny's gonna just take his 4th base. He has a 5th base already on the way, too. I guess it was halted, but the point is it's on the way. And I think defensively he should have no problem dealing with TLO, especially with the planetary here, but he's got to move his units. He's got to help his planetary, or just lose it. Alrighty then.
That feels bad.
Nice snipe by TLO. Like I said, like the other command centers here, it's a halfway done, in fact, so not too much time lost on the 4th base, not as much as it could have been, but that was a very nice sniper TLO. And of course, you can't forget that he already got up to his hive, so he doesn't have a spire and ultralisk cavern, so I guess the hive doesn't feel totally scary right now, but at any point he could throw that down and try and not just kill Bunny's economy, but also out-tech him.
Well, the roaches wrapping around from the north side are burrowed. They're going to get seen by this turret, but it's not really in defenses back here. Bunny's army's also sieged up and out of position, so it'll take them long to respond, but looks like they can't quite get past the wall too quickly. Bunny's going to get back, but TLO gets those roaches in. While this goes on, he might push the front line with a 2nd attack. There seems to be something on the top left, but unfortunately, all the roaches have not been cleaned up.
Did he realize they went to the ramp?
I think it's on purpose. He's waiting.
Oh, no. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is a scary situation when you see the Terran kind of like bulking up the reinforcements and paying attention to not their front line. But I think the defensive measures are okay to do that. Bunny does have his tanks still spread around, a couple of missile turrets, because I think he's expecting Vipers, which aren't quite ready to go yet.
Oh, these roaches are going to patiently wait for those depots to lower, to have Bunny run his units out of the base, and then he'll move into that main. That's clever. I like that. Helleni's trying to do the run by. We didn't see much blue flame for this last game, but we might see some this game. Not a lot of drones over here to kill, however. They're mostly, well, I guess nowhere. Where are all those drones?
They're there. Yeah, I was surprised too. I guess a lot of them might be in the main base. Oh, a lot of them are natural.
Oh, the burrow's actually going to help a little bit. Forces a scan out, so it's not so free damage, but He's gonna kill a couple more drones
Okay.
for that. Up to 25 dead.
Bunny did not realize those roaches were there. Lets his reinforcements through. That's gonna be annoying.
TLO's not taking advantage of it yet. I think it's good that he waits longer. It may be complacency, but you know, this is all the army just moving out. It quickly would respond otherwise.
TLO actually has a couple of different attacks set up here, which could be fantastic, or they could be 20 less army supply on the front lines if Bunny decides to engage. Because he's got the north and then, like, the northeast here. He's all set up ready to go.
Well, big attack to the south kicks off. This is the majority of Bunny's army. This time around, though, there's not a lot of Vipers, really. There's not a lot of anything. I'm actually having a bit of a loss.
Viper. Yeah, TLO, I think, played around a little too long with his roaches.
Well, maybe that was on purpose. He's got a lot of Ravagers on the other side of the map, and if there's one thing that's going to take down tanks, is Ravagers, Corsair Biles, but that Planetary's getting a lot of splash damage on the army with those tanks hammering away, and TLO's army is already reduced by half.
I think I mean, he was banking so much, he could have definitely gone up to that second Spire and Greater Spire much faster. I think he was just... I guess he figured he had more time, that Bunny would be a little more passive or something here, but he, I think, is also feeling the burn, like, oh my god, is it not working like I thought it would?
I like the attempt to use the Infested Terrans, by the way, to draw some of the tank shots into friendly fire, but, you know, for Bunny, he's